Have you ever wondered how fast the Earth's temperature is really increasing? It's a question that's more than just a curiosity. It's about the survival of our planet and everything that calls it home. The term global warming is not just a buzzword. It's a reality we're living in. Our Earth is experiencing a rapid increase in average global temperatures, and this is not without consequences. From the melting ice caps at the poles to the scorching heat waves in the equatorial regions, the fingerprint of global warming is clearly visible. The impact on Earth's ecosystems is profound and far-reaching. It's not just about polar bears losing their icy homes, but also about the millions of humans grappling with extreme weather events and resource scarcity. Understanding the speed of this temperature rise is crucial in planning our response. So, let's delve into the specifics and find out just how fast our world is heating up. Before we dive into the numbers, it's crucial to understand what these figures really mean. We're talking about climate change, a complex and multifaceted issue. But let's break it down into its simplest terms. First off, we have greenhouse gases. These are gases in Earth's atmosphere that trap heat. They let sunlight in, but keep some of the sun's heat from escaping back into space, much like a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases there are in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, thereby warming up the planet. Among these greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, or CO2, plays a significant role. It's released through natural processes such as respiration and volcano eruptions, but also through human activities like deforestation and the burning of fossil fuels. In the past 2 centuries, human activities have been pumping large amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere at a rate faster than the rate at which plants and the oceans can absorb it. This has led to a significant increase in atmospheric CO2 levels from about 280 parts per million before the Industrial Revolution to over 400 parts per million today. This brings us to the concept of the greenhouse effect. This natural process, where greenhouse gases trap some of the sun's heat, helps keep the Earth warm enough to sustain life. However, human activities have amplified this effect, causing more heat to be trapped and thus warming the Earth at an unprecedented rate. It's important to note that while this process is natural, the speed and extent at which it's happening due to human activities are not. This rapid and unnatural warming is what we refer to as global warming, a major aspect of climate change. So when we talk about the numbers and data related to global warming, we are essentially discussing the quantities of greenhouse gases, particularly CO2, in our atmosphere, and how they've increased over time due to human activities. Now that we have a basic understanding, we can take a closer look at the numbers. According to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, better known as NASA, the average global temperature has increased by about 0.8 of a degree Celsius since the year 1880. Now you might be thinking, that's not a lot, is it? Well, let's dive a little deeper into this. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, has reported that the Earth's surface temperature has risen by an average of 1 degree Celsius since the late 19th century. This change is driven largely by increased carbon dioxide and other human-made emissions into the atmosphere. To put this into perspective, the last time the Earth experienced a comparable concentration of CO2 was 3 to 5 million years ago, when the temperature was 2 to 3 degrees Celsius warmer and sea level was 10 to 20 meters higher than today. But the problem isn't just about the average increase. It's about the speed at which this change is happening. The rate of temperature increase over the past half-century is nearly twice that for the entire period of the last 100 years. This rapid rise is a clear indicator of the accelerating pace of global warming. Moreover, the distribution of this temperature increase is not even across the globe. Some areas are experiencing much higher increases than others. In the Arctic regions, for instance, the rate of warming is almost twice the global average. This disproportionate heating is causing a rapid melting of ice, which in turn contributes to rising sea levels and altering global weather patterns. Now let's talk about the oceans. The oceans have absorbed much of this increased heat, with the top 100 meters of ocean showing warming of more than 0.6 degrees Celsius since 1969. This rise in temperature is causing widespread destruction of marine ecosystems and leading to more frequent and severe weather events like cyclones and hurricanes. These figures may seem small, but their impacts are immense. The rising thermometer isn't just an indicator of warmer days, but a marker of the profound and potentially irreversible changes happening to our planet. So, what does a few degrees increase in global temperature mean for us and our planet? Well, let's start with the obvious. Sea levels are rising. As the temperature increases, glaciers and polar ice caps are melting at an unprecedented rate. This isn't just bad news for polar bears and penguins, it's also disastrous for coastal cities and islands. Picture this, a city like Miami or Venice, already struggling with flooding, could be underwater within this century. Moving on, we must talk about the weather, not just your everyday, it's a bit warm today kind of weather. We're referring to extreme weather events such as hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, and heavy rainfalls. These are becoming more frequent and more severe because of the rising temperatures. Think about the wildfires that ravaged Australia and California, or the deadly heat waves in Europe and India. These are not isolated incidents but are linked to the bigger picture of global warming. Now let's turn our attention to biodiversity loss. With the change in climate, habitats are being altered and species are struggling to adapt. Many are facing the risk of extinction. For instance, coral reefs, which are home to a quarter of all marine species, are dying off due to warmer ocean temperatures. This is not just about losing beautiful underwater landscapes. It's about disrupting a complex ecosystem that millions of people rely on for food, tourism, and coastal protection. And it's not just animals that are affected. Plants are also struggling to survive in changing climates, which can lead to a loss of vegetation cover. This, in turn, increases the risk of soil erosion and desertification, making it harder for us to grow the food we need. In short, a few degrees increase in global temperature can have a domino effect on our environment, our economies, and our lives. These are just a few examples of how a warming planet can drastically change life as we know it. The question now is, can we slow down this rapid rise in temperature? The answer is a resounding yes, but it won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. It's going to take a concerted effort on a global scale to turn things around. But there's hope, and there are solutions. Firstly, we need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. These gases, like carbon dioxide and methane, trap heat in our atmosphere and cause the planet to warm. We emit them when we burn fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas for energy. So one solution is to cut down on our use of these fuels. That means driving less, using less electricity, and being more energy efficient. But reducing emissions alone won't be enough. We also need to transition to renewable energy. Solar, wind, hydro, and other types of renewable energy don't emit greenhouse gases. They're clean, they're sustainable, and they're the future. More and more countries are investing in these technologies, and it's a trend that needs to continue. Lastly, we need to implement sustainable practices in our everyday lives. That means recycling and composting, growing our own food, reducing our water usage, and being mindful of the products we buy and use. It's about living in harmony with our planet rather than exploiting it. These steps may seem daunting, but remember, change starts with us. Each one of us. We can make a difference. We can drive less, recycle more, turn off lights, plant trees, and support companies that are environmentally friendly. We can vote for leaders who take climate change seriously. We can educate ourselves and others about the realities of global warming. So, will it be easy? No. But is it possible? Absolutely. It's a challenge, yes, but it's also an opportunity to safeguard our planet for future generations. The future of our planet lies in our hands. Each one of us has a role to play in slowing down global warming. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned today. The pace of global warming is not just a projection, it's a reality. Our world is warming at an alarming rate, and the data doesn't lie. Average global temperatures have been rising consistently for over a century, with the last 3 decades being the hottest on record. This increase in temperature isn't just making our summers hotter, it's causing a domino effect of environmental changes that impact everything from our weather patterns to our food sources. The consequences are severe, ranging from more frequent and intense natural disasters to the potential extinction of numerous species. Yet, it's not all doom and gloom. We've talked about potential solutions too, from reducing our carbon footprint to investing in renewable energy. There are ways we can mitigate these effects and safeguard our planet for future generations. Remember, understanding the problem is the first step towards creating solutions. Let's take that step together.